It was either you or Phil, and I said, okay, it's your turn, Mike. I'm going to bring you on because I know you're a big Kaelin fan. Anyway, people, I guess, our age, and this case, I believe, was in 1994. June 12th, 1994 is when the murders happened. And we're talking about the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. And then afterwards, this became like a pop culture icon of everything that happened in this case. And one of the biggest pop culture, probably a hero now, is whom we're going to introduce to you next. Kaelin. Kato, welcome to the show.
It is, Bill, it is so nice to be here. Professor, I hope I get college credits from this. Is there a chance? Is this an accredited course for podcasts?
We can do it.
I would really appreciate it.
You can do it. No problem.
Shy. No, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. And Bill, thanks again for doing 1 Degree of Scandalous. You've been phenomenal. We get great numbers. And now meeting Professor Mike Geary. It can't get any better. It can't get any better.
Kato, you know something? When I was working in the 2-4 detective squad in the robbery unit when the verdict came down. And I was I was very shocked to hear the verdict. But one of the things that shocked me a lot too was the different perception that white cops had as compared to black cops. Even the black detectives and the black bosses in our squad cheered when the not guilty verdict came. And pretty much the opposite, the white detectives and the white bosses were just like, oh my God. And I found that to be a little bit disturbing.
It was divisive, and it really was, and it never should have been. Everybody lost sight of 2 young, beautiful people losing their life. It never should have been a race card, and that was brought up because I think that's what the dream team, they saw a way of convincing a jury. And I mean, when I was 6 days on the stand, I saw the jury waving to him while he was to OJ, and I just thought, I didn't know that was, first of all, legal. You get thrown out as a juror, and I said, when the media splits the screen of whites and blacks celebrating, it even made it worse in LA. It just, like I said, it was so divisive, and people had their, they saw it as a soap opera. It ran during soap opera hours, and I was not a person; I was an actor in it. They looked at me as Kato the character.
Yeah. Kato, one of the things that I always felt is when they came back with the not guilty verdict, I was just right away saying, these people from California are morons. They are absolute morons. They just disregarded all the evidence. And one of the things I want to say for people that don't realize this, where this came from, the Rodney King beating by the LA police happened in 1991. So that was almost like a payback. That was like, the cops got off, now we're getting off. And it was sort of like a tit for tat thing.
I 100% agree with you. And it was this tumultuous time in Los Angeles. And it was, I think that's the reason why. And I think had he been guilty, there may have been riots because there were riots before. And I think they just were prepared for this not guilty and exonerated OJ. So there were no riots. And, the most iconic, I think the most iconic thing about that decision was when the foreman of the jury stumbled on Arenthal's name and the cut to the Brown family and the Goldmans with Kim and Fred bawling their eyes out in disbelief. And then the look of Robert Kardashian when they showed the camera, it's so iconic that he's going in disbelief of, did I hear that right? And I think, on our show, we got to interview some of the detectives, Tom Lang, the lead detective, of all the evidence that was dismissed. It's incredible that the prosecution didn't use so much evidence. The late Phil Venetter was said to me, because I interviewed the police often, and I think towards it, they kind of became, not so much friends, let's have lunch, but they kind of understood my humor and the person I was. And Venetter just said, Kato, this is a 2-minute Columbo case. It's so easily solved. But we saw what happened when you got money, what you can do with money and how you can hire the best lawyers. And then when they got Barry Scheck, who I thought was brilliant, and how he had the DNA of, it was brand new, sort of the 94,
yes.
how he just took over the case and showed how the blood could have been tainted or anything, but he was so convincing. And I think he was the person that was so brilliant that I think he took over the dream team.
Well, you know, he was from the Innocence Project that looks at cases of people in prison that are convicted and tries to overturn their conviction. And yes, he's a brilliant lawyer. And but
you
the
know, you got
problem,
I was a kid during this time, sort of on a trial, and when the DNA came out, Bill and Mike, I kept saying DNA. I thought that meant for me to dude needs apartment. So I didn't know. I'm like, what is this about? So, but yeah, you know, all jokes aside, it really was the trial of the century, crime of the century, because it had everything: celebrity, white, black, you know, the dream team lawyer, millions spent on this, and it went on for just under a year.
you know, Cato, I was going to say that, and that was the fault of the judge. Judge Ito. First of all, the average homicide trial in New York City and Manhattan lasts about 3 weeks. That's a long time. Actually, it lasts probably a week to 2 weeks. This lasted like 9 months. You said almost a year. That is because Judge Ito allowed too much leeway in questioning. I remember there was a detective that was the DNA guy, and I remember Johnny Cochran used a racial slur against him. He said, I think I don't remember, his name was like Fong or something like that. And he goes,
Dennis Fong,
chop suey of Fong or something like that, you know? And I was like, because Judge Ito let them question this guy for 2 weeks straight.
That was another decided part of how it would, because DNA was sort of new to him. And that's where Barry Scheck came in and just schooled him. As a matter of fact, not many people know this, that Dennis Fong, he shook hands with them after his testimony was over, sort of congratulating them because how brilliant they were. And not many people know that he was shaking hands with the defense team, and he was a prosecuting witness.
Well, if you look at the guys in this, there you got F. Lee Bailey on the left and Johnny Cochran on the right. He's to OJ's left.
And Robert Shapiro in back.
Johnny Cochran had the famous line, "If the glove don't fit, you must acquit," you know. And I think I have a picture here of OJ trying on those gloves, which is probably the biggest prosecutorial mistake in the history of jurisprudence.
you know, and through the years, it's been 30 years. 30 years, you meet so many different people. And I travel a lot. Everybody's got an OJ story. Everybody wants to be tied into this somehow because they feel like they're part of it. But I heard from so many people that he's taking arthritic medicine to make sure he's swollen so the glove won't fit, or he was told, no matter what you do, make the glove not fit. So like you said, it was a decision that shouldn't have been made because through the years of me talking to lawyers, it's law 101. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Well, and that's exactly what that is.